of all sorts. ESC is great attention to detail. They stick to deadlines and keep within your budget. If you can dream it, they can make it. Contact ESC Fabrication and Sandblasting in Waverly today at 531-207-9329.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, 1st and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome, everybody, to the second ever edition of Adam Carriker on The Ticket. I'm excited for today's show. You know me, I'm always excited for every show. Anytime I get to talk football, Nebraska football, and or WWE wrestling, we got a pretty awesome, I think, loaded show for you fine folks at home here today. Again, this is Adam Carriker on The Ticket. Come have lunch with me every Monday at noon for an hour going forward. All right, every Monday at noon, from noon to 1 p.m., the Adam Carriker Show here on The Ticket. And here's what we've got on the docket. Again, I feel it's a loaded show, but I'm only marginally biased. So here's what we got coming. I want to talk about, again, some of the Matt Rule quotes that have come out this spring. Obviously, there's going to be a lot to talk about this week. Spring game Saturday, a lot to talk about next week. But some of the things I want to dive into. Okay, I want to dive into some of the things he said about the tight ends. I think we got a talented tight end room as a whole, and two of the most talented tight ends in the entire country specifically. Also, let's not neglect our offensive coordinator, all right, Mr. Marcus Satterfield. He's got an interesting quote I want to chat about, talking about huddling and using tight ends and using the fullback and bringing back the fullback. And it's that magic F word, not the other one that you guys are thinking of, but that magic F word the Nebraska fans love so much, fullback. Okay, we're going to talk about a little bit about Nebraska's scrimmage on a Saturday, how that went, and how a lesson can be learned from how the end of the scrimmage took place. Matt Rule, he says we're here to win. Let's talk about that quote as well. Matt Rule, going to SmackDown, throwing the bones. All right, I believe there's even a GIF already of this. And I'm not going to lie to you. All right, Bill Goldberg is going to be joining me here at 12:30. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, WWE Hall of Famer and my all-time favorite wrestler, former Division I defensive lineman, a standout at the University of Georgia, NFL D lineman with the Atlanta Falcons before he got into wrestling, and he became the man. All right, he's going to be joining me here at 12:30. When Matt Rule, all right, when I saw him on SmackDown throwing the bones, I had no idea he was a WWE guy, and he gained like 1,000 points with me. Then he comes out in the press conference the next day and he admits, I'm not really a WWE guy. I just like to go to events. So I'm not going to lie. He lost about half those points with me that he gained the night before. But that means he still retained about 500 points, give or take. I don't know what the chart is or how high these points go up, but that's what we're going with for now. All right. And then at the end, always your fan questions. And of course, we're going to look ahead to the spring game, just a smidge, just a little bit, just an iota. All right. So as always, send me your fan questions. Actually, I've got a question I want you guys to answer for me. All right. Send it in to the text line. All right. 402-464-5685. Give me your answer. 402-464-5685. And here's my question. The updated Herbie Husker was just released. I even asked the fine folks at home, Husker Nation, about it on my Facebook and Twitter account. Do you like it? Are you a fan of the updated, newly released Herbie Husker? Let me know. Text hotline and let me know your thoughts, and we'll be answering your questions throughout the show and specifically at the end of the show as well. Now, the first thing I want to get into that Marcus Satterfield quote from a while ago, admittedly, but I finally get to give my thoughts on it. All right. Now, here's the quote. We're going to get in a huddle and call football plays, and we're going to use tight ends. Offensive coordinator Marcus Satterfield said in January, we're going to use a fullback, and we're going to run the football. Now, admittedly, this was sent to me, and I've seen it other places, but it was initially sent to me in an email that I've kept because I knew at some point I would talk about this. And the individual who sent me the email, said the choice for Rule and his staff to host a fullback camp reflects a general desire to focus on a position that was phased out of Nebraska's offense under former head coach Scott Frost. But I want to talk about not just the F word, the fullback, but I want to talk about all the above that he just mentioned. First of all, getting in a huddle almost seems outdated. Now, I don't know that it's a good thing or a bad thing to get in a huddle. I think it's just different, which is weird to say in this day and age. I don't really care if we huddle, if we don't. I just care if we move the ball. I care if we score. Now, the idea of using more tight ends and the idea of using a fullback is something that I think Nebraska fans are going to get excited about, especially when you talk about two of the most talented tight ends in the country. And I don't want to assume they're going to win the starting jobs because there are other talented individuals in that tight end room as well. But you look at Thomas Fedoni, you look at Eric Gilbert. All right, Gilbert is a guy who was the number 1 tight end and number 5 overall player in the entire country in 2020. All right, you look at a local guy, you look at Thomas Fedoni. All right, number 1, number 2 tight end in the entire country just a year later, depending on which recruiting service you look at. Now, I know he's been battling injuries, but this is a guy that Matt Rule has specifically talked about. Our Rule speaks highly of his attitude and the effort that Fedoni brings. Okay, Rule said he's been working with him personally and actually has to try to slow him down at times. I think Fedoni's a little extra motivated. I think he's itching to get out on that field. He's been banged up. He's been fighting these injuries, trying to get healthy, trying to come back. We're obviously all rooting for him. And I think he's got a little bit of a smidge of a chip on his shoulder. All right, when I said, I've been honest in the past, when I first got to Nebraska, I didn't have a chip on my shoulder. I had a whole forest. Maybe that's how Fedoni feels. Okay, he's watching these other tight ends that were highly recruited, that came out similarly to when he did, and they're just lighting college football on fire. The individual down at Georgia who's just a stud, going to be a top pick coming up here in the near future. Okay, already got a couple of national titles in his pocket. So when Satterfield talks about using tight ends, it helps when you've got talented guys. Now, Gilbert actually at one point was moved to wide receiver because he started at LSU, went to Georgia, but he was moved to wide receiver as one of his previous schools. So one of the things I want to see, hey, it's great if you can catch. It's great if you got athleticism. All right, there aren't a whole lot of Matt Harrians out there, guys who can make big plays from the tight end position. I played with Matt, came in with Matt, did our recruiting visit together. Guy's an ultimate stud. All right, still a stud to this day, by the way. But can you block? Will you block? Because Satterfield talks about we're gonna run the ball. Well, one of the things that made Matt so great, okay, was running the ball and setting up that play action. And then sometimes tight ends get overlooked in that deep ball, and they can be wide open. And when you've got explosive abilities such as Harrian has, such as Fedoni still has, or Gilbert has, okay, you got to be able to run the ball first. You got to be able to line up 1 tight end, 2 tight ends. I don't care if you go 14 tight ends or 82 wide receivers. Okay, as long as we don't get a penalty, probably will, especially with the Big Ten reps. Even if we line up with 11 properly, it might happen that way. But I digress. The fact of the matter is if we can block up front with the tight ends, it's going to set up that play action pass game. And that's where the athleticism of these tight ends is going to come in. But if the tight ends I've been mentioning, Mr. Gilbert, Mr. Fedoni, if they're not going to block, then it's going to create issues because how do you put them on the field? How do you run the ball? And how do you set up those play action passes? Whether you're huddling, whether you've got a certain amount of positions on the field, tight ends, wide receivers, fullbacks, things of that nature. It's interesting when you talk about the fullback position itself. Okay, that is a word that excites Husker fans. All right, you think about the Makovica brothers. You think about Corey Schlesinger. You think about the 2 touchdowns that Schlesinger scored in the Orange Bowl in Miami in '95. All right, obviously helping Coach Osborne clinch his first ever national championship. For me, I like the idea of bringing back the fullback beyond just what we're going to do on offense. You think about special teams. And when Frost eliminated the fullback position here at Nebraska, I actually went to special teams immediately because fullbacks are key on kickoff return. Okay, they're key on punt return in that personal protector position. All right, not only blocking and picking up guys who might leak through, but also calling out the protections properly so you can pick up any of the stunts or any of the things that a punt block team might try to attempt to do, or recognizing if it's punt block or if they're doing a punt return or whatever the case may be. Maybe half the side is blocking, half the line is trying to perform a punt block, maybe half the side setting up a return in case they don't block it. You got to be able to recognize that. Okay, and fullbacks are key in special teams. Sometimes, usually linebackers, if I'm being honest with you, but sometimes they can be key on kickoff teams and in punt teams. Okay, as well in coverage, not just in protection as well. So for me, obviously, special teams was a little bit better last year. It's been a struggle in recent memory. Sorry to bring that up. I apologize. I digress. But I think part of that was due to a lack of fullbacks because they play a key role in special teams. Now you talk about just the offense in general. If you're playing with a fullback, you're obviously trying to be a lot more smash mouth, ground and pound, blue collar, in your face, knock them on their keister type attitude. Clearly, that's what Rule, that's what our new offensive coordinator Satterfield wants to do, wants to establish, wants to get rolling here on offense going forward when it comes to Nebraska football. But also just think about situationally. You could come out in a spread offense. You could come out no huddle. You could do whatever you'd like to do. But then you get in that 3rd and 1. You get in that 4th and goal, that 4th and short, 3rd and short, situational football as well. That's when a fullback can be key. Now, I'm not one of those guys that's like, well, we haven't had a fullback, and that's why we struggled for X amount of years. Well, I don't completely buy into that. I 100% believe you can run all sorts of successful offenses. You can huddle, no huddle. You can go 3 wide, 4 wide, 2 tights. I mean, the Patriots won Super Bowls with 12 personnel, 1 running back, 2 tight ends. Then you watch the Chiefs put speed all over the field. And you watch other teams like the Ravens. Of course, Lamar Jackson's a unique talent. I will give you that. We'll see if he comes back and plays for the Ravens next year or not. But they've got tight ends and kind of fullback-esque type guys all over the field based on what they're doing. All right. You just got to get really, really good at what you do, whatever that is. And I think that's what we have not done here recently in Nebraska. We haven't been good at blocking. We haven't been good at executing. The plays, actually, if you look at how they're drawn up, they're actually really, really well drawn up the past few years, but the execution wasn't there. So you ain't got to be fancy smancy, but what you got to be is good at whatever it is that you're going to do, whether it's a fullback, whether it's tight ends, whether it's wide receivers, whether it's whatever the case may be. All right. So we've discussed a little bit 2 tights, huddling, fullbacks. We've discussed a little bit of the tight ends and the talent that we have there. Are they going to block to set up the passing game and things of that nature? Let's talk about Saturday's scrimmage that Nebraska had. All right, now, it sounds like, from the folks I talked to, I was not there. I will not pretend to be somewhere I was not. But I have talked to many of folks who have some good information, and they have let me know that the defense did pretty well, okay? Defense performed well. It was good. I love the idea of live scrimmages on the weekends during spring ball. I love the idea of hitting and tackling and live football as much as you possibly can in the spring specifically, and also early on in fall camp, because if you get a little banged up, you get a little beat up, you got plenty of time to recover before the bullets are real, so to speak, or you start playing games in the fall. So I love that we're doing those types of things. I love that the quarterbacks are live as well. Okay. The quarterbacks, if you're going to run, if you're going to get sacked, if you're going to get hit, you got to get toughened up a little bit. There's obvious reasons that you protect the quarterback and you put that green jersey on them sometimes. And, you know, I guess they're kind of important or something. I don't know. Obviously, they're obviously very vital to the offense. So you need your quarterback healthy. But part of that is building toughness so that they can stay healthy when they do get hit in games. Now, the defense stopped at the end of the scrimmage. All right. The defense stopped the offense short of the goal line. All right. The offense was going in trying to score at the end of the scrimmage. And what happened was, after the last play, a defensive player punched an offensive player. So it created an extra play for the offense. Now, you think back to all these close games that Nebraska has unfortunately lost in recent memory. And you think back to simple things, little things here and there. Okay, I don't recall a game that we specifically lost because we punched somebody and gave another team an extra play, but think about a kick the wrong way on special teams. Think about a fumble. Think about little things here and there. This is a little thing. Well, not so little when it ends up costing you the scrimmage because the offense got an extra down and quarterback Jeff Sims hit wide receiver Marcus Washington for the quote-unquote winning touchdown, okay, on the untimed down. The defense ended up having to run afterwards because of this. So these little things, when you're trying to build a culture of physicality and you want to run the ball and blue collar, in your face, smash mouth type football, you got to remain disciplined as well. It's a fine line because some of the most physical football players I've ever played with I'm going to shock you with this, are some of the most aggressive human beings I've ever been around. But can you keep it to in between the whistles? That's the question. Okay, it's one thing to be aggressive, but it's another thing to just not be a smart football player. And it's great that that happened in a practice, in a scrimmage on Saturday, because that's a learning opportunity for the entire team. And you may have heard this story before. I'm nowhere near the first one to share it, but a lot of us are aware of who Christian Peter was. One of the all-time great Huskers to ever don the uniform, the black shirt, wear the N on the side of the helmet. Also one of the most intense. As a lot of you are aware, 95 Orange Bowl. Osborne comes into halftime, makes the team aware. He thinks Miami is going to do something to try to entice the Huskers to get into a fight. Okay, and he says, don't retaliate. Now, Christian Peter was a fiery guy. And of anybody on that team, he might have been the most likely to retaliate to someone doing something to him. Someone in a Miami uniform picking a fight with him, he might have been the most likely guy to respond. Watch that second half if you haven't already. A Miami player gives him a reason to get mad, gives him a reason to respond, does something dirty, basically. Christian doesn't respond. And Miami gets the 15-yard personal foul penalty. And I don't know if that was the exact moment that the game changed, but here's what I'll tell you. Had he responded and had there been a penalty on Nebraska, because the second guy almost always gets caught, not the first guy, that could have been the moment that swung the game in Miami's favor. And maybe we're talking about things in a whole different manner when we're referring to certain things from that era of Husker football. So it's a fine line between being aggressive and being smart. Okay. And I think Saturday, what happened at the end of that scrimmage is a perfect opportunity for Coach Rule to teach the entire team. Be aggressive. In between the whistles, be somebody that nobody wants anything to do with on the opposing team, because you're going to hit them in the mouth down after down after down. You may not win every down, but you're going to hit them every down. But in between the whistles, and it's easier than said than done sometimes, okay, but you got to be smart. So for me, that's a perfect learning opportunity for the entire team as Matt Rule tries to establish a culture, as he tries to establish a mentality, as he tries to establish an attitude of physicality, but also doing the little things, which hasn't always happened in recent memory, which has cost us some of these close games, and start doing those little things and start being disciplined and start executing the little things across the front and as a whole on offense and defense. And a lot of times that can be the difference between a win and a loss, as we have seen here in recent Husker memory. And I would be remiss if we did not mention, all right, our sponsor here today. Let me give them a big shout out real quick. All right. And let me know on the text hotline. All right. Do you like, all right, the updated Herbie Husker that was just released not too long ago, maybe a half hour ago, something like that? Let me know on the text line, 402-464-5685. Let me give a shout out to our sponsor, GE Landscape Supply in Lincoln sells to homeowners and contractors. With a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials, they sell in bulk to save you money. Buy anything from a 5-gallon bucket to a semi-load. They deliver everywhere, anywhere. And if you mention you heard this ad on 93.7 The Ticket, they'll deliver in town for free through the month of April. Some restrictions apply. Go to gelandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627. Again, that number is 402-467-1627. All right. I hope I'm going to pronounce this name correctly. We got a response from a fan. I believe his name is Guilt Nerd, and he says, I love the news. Throwback Herbie. Never should have changed him in the first place. All right. Let me know everyone else's thoughts. Okay. There's been a lot of positive feedback based on what I've seen so far. Okay. Again, it was just released probably within the last hour, give or take. So fans seem, majority of the responses I've seen so far, they seem positive and like they like the new updated Herbie Husker. All right. All right, we got another one here. John Claditonia. I apologize if I mispronounced that. I'm doing my best. I barely passed English. I was actually an English major for one day, and then I realized how much Shakespeare and Hamlet I had to learn. No disrespect to Shakespeare and Hamlet. My brother has Shakespeare and Hamlet tattoos on his body, okay? So that's cool with me, but once I realized that, I ended up going into business. So, all right, he says, yes, about time we got rid of the Metro Herbie and brought back the Herbie that won football games. All right, I like it. All right, there's one more Matt Rule quote that I want to chat about real quick. And again, just a reminder, 12:30, I'm going to be joined by Mr. Bill Goldberg, WWE Hall of Famer. All right, and then at the end, we're going to talk about any fan questions that you send in. Also, all right, what I'm specifically looking for in the spring game. And I've got about 5 things that I'm specifically looking for at the most scrutinized Husker practice of the entire year. But I want to talk about this Matt Rule quote real quick. Another one, all right? And I quote, "We're not here to try hard. We're not here to lose, but thank the fans. We're here to win. Winning happens now. It doesn't happen in the fall." End quote. Matt Rule. So I know for a fact that the offseason, this time of year, winter conditioning included, is one of Matt Rule's favorite times of the year, because he believes that the work you put in January, February, March, through the summer, spring, summer conditioning, that's when you win football games. That's when you get in shape. That's when you can implement, get better at, and refine those little things. Now, when I read this comment, obviously college football coaches are paid to win. Okay, let's be real. People are like, oh, we had a high graduation rate, and this guy's so good with his student athletes. Nobody ever points that out unless the guy still got a job because he won football games. If the guy doesn't win football games, it's never pointed out. So let's be real about this. People point things like that out when the head coach wins football games. Now, we all know Matt Rule's brought here to win, okay? And he's going to be given a long runway. 9 years is a lot of time, okay? He's been paid a lot of money. And so far, I think he's impressed a lot of people. And I, myself, am personally among them. When I read this, I thought it was interesting. And I'll be honest with you. I'm always honest with you. When I say that, it means I'm going to say something that some people may not like, and I'm just giving you a heads up. A lot of people avoid bringing up Scott Frost's name, and I'm not going to avoid it. I'm not going to go out of my way to do it. My job is to be honest, and things that I say are my honest opinion, whether I'm right or wrong. Some people purposely avoid bringing up his name. I'm not going to one way or the other. I'm just going to speak like I'd speak about Solich or Pelini or Riley or anybody else, okay? I thought there were a lot of things that Frost did early on in his tenure that I thought kind of shortened his honeymoon period. I was like, oh, man, you just shortened your own honeymoon period by making some of these comments here and there, some of the things that were said after games. Now, I'm not saying Rule's shortening his honeymoon period by saying this, but when I read that or I heard it, I was like, man, I wonder if he shortened his honeymoon period just a little. Now, one comment, one quote, deep in the heart of the offseason, isn't a big deal. It just compounds over time if it keeps happening. And I'm not saying this is a bad quote. I love the attitude. I love the mentality. I love his honesty that he shares with the fans. I think the fans love it. I love it. And obviously, he's brought in to win. I just want people to remember, I know the transfer portal helps speed up the turnaround of college football programs, and it's made it quicker, and I don't want to say easier because you can lose players too. But if you got a good head coach, it can possibly make it easier to speed up the turnaround of a college football program. And Matt Rule is not walking into a bare cupboard. There's some big linemen. There's some talented guys at the speed position. There's talented guys in the quarterback room. He's got some talent. And he's obviously been brought here to win. I just want people to remember, okay, there's going to be a process. And I do think he can win 6 or more games this year. But I just want to be a part of that process, the ups, the downs, whatever it may entail. It's probably going to be a bit of a roller coaster ride. I'd be flabbergasted if it wasn't. So I love the fact that he said this. I just hope fans keep in mind that this is no reason to shorten his honeymoon period. Okay, and that was something I kind of felt like Frost did to himself just a smidge. Again, I wish that individual nothing but the best. There's going to be a day when he comes back to Memorial Stadium and he's going to get cheered. There's going to be a day. I don't know when that day will be, but I'm predicting it right here, right now, of our former head coach here at the University of Nebraska. Okay, but our current head coach has done a lot of things to impress this offseason. I love the fact that he's taken this approach. But let's just keep in mind it's going to be a process, and it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster ride, whether we like it or not, because that's just how college sports works, and it actually makes it more fun. Okay, it's what people love about March Madness to a degree, because it's such a roller coaster and unpredictable ride. So let's enjoy this ride. And I feel kind of funny saying this in April, but the spring game is Saturday, and who knows how the Huskers will look. Maybe they look good, maybe they don't. It's really hard to judge based off of a spring practice where they're going to run not a lot of blitzes probably on defense and not a lot of fancy things on offense, and they're going to try to not show a lot, yet evaluate players. Okay, but let's just keep that in mind. All right, we will be back in about 5 minutes. Don't go anywhere, and I will be joined by WWE Hall of Famer, WCW champ, WWE champ, Mr. Bill Goldberg.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to O Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. Even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. We'll install right away and save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at O Street Carpet.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Imagine your next staff meeting. Now imagine your next staff meeting with a side of ribs. Your next client presentation? Or that same client presentation with brisket and baked beans. It's better, right? Let Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul take care of all of your business catering needs. Feed the staff, cater your next event, whatever you need, Mary Ellen's can help. They can even host your events in their brand new event space located right next to the restaurant. Go see for yourself. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul at 29th and Pine Lake or online at maryellens.com. Let them fix you a plate.
Where will your path take you, traveler? To seek fortune in a new career? Or on a journey to distant lands for a well-deserved vacation? Wherever you go, one distraction could spell disaster. You can change your fate, adventurer. Don't drive distracted. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The Empire brand is growing with ESC fabrication and sandblasting. ESC is your place for custom handrails, industrial and commercial painting, and more. ESC provides custom welding for aluminum and stainless steel and media blasting of all sorts. ESC is great attention to detail. They stick to deadlines and keep within your budget. If you can dream it, they can make it. Contact ESC Fabrication and Sandblasting in Waverly today at 531-207-9329.
Integrated Life Choices has been inspiring opportunities for individuals with disabilities for more than 15 years in Lincoln by offering a number of services. From group homes for special needs adults to independent living resources and job training, you'll find the intellectual and developmental disability services your loved one needs to live a fulfilling life. They're also hiring. If you're looking for a more rewarding career, learn more about available positions. Learn more about services for your loved ones or employment today at ilc.net. Integrated Life Choices.
This is Jay Foreman. I wore gear to protect my health on the football field, and I'm protecting it now by staying up to date with the bivalent COVID vaccine. Get up to date while it's still free and stay protected. Learn more at healthylincoln.org.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $24.11 per hour, which grows to $28.27 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $32.76 per hour with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or to apply, go to continental-jobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
The Butchery by Venue is Lincoln's premier specialty grocers. Take the quality of Venue home with you with our hand-cut steaks, handcrafted burgers, and locally sourced offerings. Browse our wide selection of specialty products designed to enhance your dining experiences with cheeses, spices, sauces, and more. We also have an exclusive collection of liquors, whiskeys, and bourbons at prices you're sure to love. Stop in to the Butchery by Venue today, located in our Venue at Home storefront at 70th and Pioneers, just 2 doors down from Venue Restaurant and Lounge.
It's April, and that means the school year is almost over and summer road trips are on the horizon. Stop telling yourself you'll upgrade your car someday and do it now. Mullen Motors lot is full of great vehicles to take home, so you don't have to worry about your current car barely surviving another road trip. Come check out their lot just north of 48th and Layton and find your next ride, as summer road trips are just around the corner. Mullen Motors.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Babe, pack your bags. We're going to Vegas.
Vegas?
We just got the estimate from the wedding caterer, and we're going to have to elope.
Actually, Members Owned Credit Union is offering no-fee home equity lines of credit. We can borrow what we need with equity from the house.
Wait, so we can keep the bacon-wrapped dates for the cocktail hour?
We can keep the bacon-wrapped dates. From wedding bells to trekking the globe and everything in between, capture your dreams your way with a no-fee Members Owned Credit Union home equity line of credit. Learn more at membersownedheloc.org. Limitations may apply. Equal housing lender.
Agriculture is the economic engine of the Midwest. At Acres Equipment, we dedicate ourselves to making that engine run smoothly. We supply our farmers and ranchers with quality John Deere equipment, parts, and service. We also deliver the most advanced technology and precision ag strategies to help them farm today and for the future. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
Public schools are the cornerstones of our communities, and it's communities that ensure students have great public schools. I'm Jenny Benson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. Learning happens at home, in school, and everywhere in between. We all have a role to play in supporting student learning in the classroom and beyond. Help us make this the best school year yet.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
You're listening to the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Adam Carriker on The Ticket is back. Just a reminder, check out GE Landscape Supply in Lincoln. Check them out at gelandscapesupply.com, or for more info, call 402-467-1627. Now, without further ado, let's get to my guest for today. He's a WWE Hall of Famer, former WC champ, WWE champ, Mr. Bill Goldberg. How you doing, my friend? Bill, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, man. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. It's been a while since we have spoken. What is new with you?
Oh, Christ, where do I begin? We had twins born on the property this morning. I don't know what kind of animal it was, but I think it was of the deer family. But
all right.
Oh, man, my boy's prepping for his senior year of high school football and the baseball season now. I'm about to head to London next week, and just trying to figure out life, man.
Dude, I missed talking to you not too long ago. You used to come on and join our old show, Fourth and Pain, and do NFL picks with us week in and week out. Now, a lot of people know your first love was football, defensive lineman with the Georgia Bulldogs, Atlanta Falcons. Now, most people probably recognize you from pro wrestling. So let's go back just a smidge before we go forward. Talk to me about how did you get into pro wrestling from the NFL? And the second part of that question, dude, the early part, like your career, the early part of your career in WCW, all right, you debuted September 22nd, 1997. You, within 10 months, July 6th in the Georgia Dome, you face Hulk Hogan for the WCW Championship. You beat him. You go on a 173-0 win streak. What got you into wrestling, and what was that beginning, that firestorm that started your career out? What was that like?
Well, man, first and foremost, as you said, my true love is football. So aspiring to be a NFL defensive lineman as successful as yourself, I unfortunately fell a little bit short because of, I would imagine, lack of talent, but an injury kind of put the exclamation mark on the end of my career. And just to be perfectly honest with you, my accountant told me to get off my ass one day and go make a living after that. You talk about depression. It seems to be popping up a lot as of late, right? So, I mean, you can empathize wholeheartedly from a guy, with a guy that had his dream cut short because of one reason or another. And, man, I only aspired to do that my whole life. That's what I wanted to, that was my vehicle, and that was taken away from me. And I had to reinvent myself. And, I'm a person that doesn't like to be sedentary, and I got to move forward and get better every second. And so I tried to put a game plan together, and I worked on my body for a hell of a long time. And so as opposed to starting from scratch, I wanted to maybe capitalize on what I'd worked my entire life on. So one thing led to another. I was in the right place at the right time, and made the right decision. And, the stars aligned, man. I mean, you talk about the early WCW days. That's my career as far as you ask me. I mean, that was the pinnacle in the Monday Night Wars, and that's when wrestling was wrestling. It's changed, as you know, exponentially throughout the years. But I like to look at those WCW days as my heyday. I mean, like, no doubt. And being able to play in the first game in the Georgia Dome and then actually wrestle and beat Hogan in the Dome with a bunch of my teammates in the crowd. I mean, that, dude, you remember, it was pretty special.
It was very special, and I still remember watching that in high school on TV with my dad, as a matter of fact. Now, you went to WWE for a while. You won the WWE Championship. You took a break for about 12 years. So, and we're not going to get into the weeds. I know it wasn't always warm and fuzzies with Vince McMahon and Triple H, but ultimately you ended up coming back. So what led to the process of you coming back in 2016? And the other part of that, your son Gage is a big part of your life. And I know he was a big part of you coming back. What was it like for him to watch his dad beat Brock Lesnar, win the WWE Championship, and make a big comeback like that?
All of it's been pretty damn cool, to be honest with you. To be, he's a football player. He's an athlete. He has been behind the scenes and has partaken in a little bit of what we do. And I mean, for him, it's just like another feather in his cap. He doesn't place a lot of stock in it. I don't want to crush anybody's dreams, but he's on a mission right now. And so, like, literally, my boy was doing his homework 5 minutes before the match where he came out and, got choked out by Lashley in Vegas. So, I mean, nothing really phases him. It's widely known that the only reason why I came back is because of him. I could only take so many days of him, questioning what I used to do, leading up to me making the decision to come back. So I figured, why continue to tell this kid? Why not just show him, right? So I made the decision and went back. It was a great time with my family. That's how I look at my WWF or WWE run, this latest one. It was, as a father, it was a dream come true, in a lot of ways. So it was pretty damn cool, man. And, we continue to make memories every day still. So it's a pretty cool place to be.
I got one more wrestling question for you, and then I actually want to move on to football just a little bit. Now, there's some rumors. There's this other promotion out there, AEW. Now, there's some rumors that you might be coming back for one last match in WWE. There's rumors that you might sign with AEW. What can you tell us here about what may or may not be true about any of these rumors and innuendo?
I'll stop the rumor mill right now. The reason why these rumors are out there is because Vince McMahon and I had a handshake understanding that, after the Roman Reigns match, I would have a proper retirement match. And, that hasn't come to fruition through them. And so therefore, nobody puts a stamp on my career. Nobody tells me when I'm done, period, end of story. And when somebody tells me that, I kind of like to fight against it. I like to do things my own way, and I go out my own way. And I surely don't go out, under Roman Reigns, 3 weeks after I have COVID and agreed to a match. So, if I go on a world tour and promote it myself, that's a possibility. If hey, I'm a businessman, and I'm fortunately, in the position I firmly believe to where I can still make it happen. So, at the end of the day, like I said, I do believe that my character deserves a proper send off. And, until that happens, man, I don't believe I'm hanging them up, so anything and everything is an option. And like I say, I'm very much leaning towards promoting it myself and doing a four city world tour. So, let the rumor mill start up after that.
Dude, that would be sweet. I know I'm almost famous, which means nobody knows who I am. But if you ever need an unknown tag team partner, dude, I am your guy. Don't forget about that, all right?
You're hilarious, man.
That's man, that's an offer in perpetuity, and that means it never ends.
Had that's done every single thing that I ever had on my checklist in the NFL, man. You're great, man. You continue to reinvent yourself and do your thing with your podcast. You're just having fun, man. That's what life's all about. So I will definitely take that into consideration. And there are a plethora of people that are on my list as to whether it be partners or teammates in the promotion of what I'm about to do. So we'll see what happens, man. You never say never.
All right.
Nothing could come of it. You never know. But the fact is that, like I said, I do believe that the character needs a proper send off. So there you have it.
I agree with you with that. Now I want to move to football real quick. All right. You're a former Georgia Bulldog, a proud Georgia alum. Your school's doing pretty well. A couple of national titles back to back. So here's my question for you. Okay, because Georgia won a national title in 1980. They'd had a little bit of a drought there. But my question for you, and I don't mean that as a dig, I mean it's a compliment to Kirby Smart.
It's all good.
What do you believe he is doing?
Hasn't had a drought since I was in high school.
Yeah. Well, it's impressive to me what Kirby Smart has done. Like, what do you believe that he is doing so well that they've now won back-to-back national championships?
This is a roller coaster ride, but an ex-teammate of mine unfortunately passed away last week. A guy named Larry Brown, 2 weeks ago, and I took my family, to see him at a hospital prior to that, and we had a free morning, and so Gage and I drove up to Georgia, to Athens, and we walk in. And the first person I see is Kirby Smart sitting down eating with his team, right? Just 2 or 3 guys, and he's a player's coach, and he's got a hell of a background, both physically and mentally. And I think he brings such an attitude and a workman's like and a blue collar like way of going about things, and he don't pull no punches. He doesn't. He tells you like it is. And, I think he's one hell of a leader of the ship. And he's a good dude. And he's a guy that, I'm ecstatic for him to be the head coach. Not just because he's winning. So I think he's a Bulldog through and through. And I couldn't be happier with what's going on over there.
Now, I got to ask you a Nebraska question, all right? And from afar, okay, what is your perspective? What is your opinion? Do you believe that Nebraska, under their new head coach, Matt Rule, can get back to, at some point in the near future, competing for championships again like they used to? What are your thoughts on that potential?
No, I mean, I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination on he and his background and what the current, recruiting classes are like at Nebraska. But all I can say is that these days, it's not nearly about the coaching ability as much as it is your ability to juggle the portal, current rosters, your conference. I mean, there's so much that goes into this now. I think the ones that are suffering are the seniors in high school. Spots are being taken up by portal kids, but I don't know, man. I surely hope, as a kid who grew up in the Midwest in Oklahoma, when the heyday of Oklahoma, Nebraska, was at the forefront, man. I hope that definitely comes back. I mean, there's no question about it. There's a huge lineage of history there that's all about winning football games and not doing it quietly. So I'm hopeful for those days to return.
All right, one last question for you, and then I'll let you get out of here. So we're going to mix pro wrestling and football just a smidge. If you were to pick 3 WWE wrestlers, and you were to be like, I have to start a football team with 3 WWE wrestlers, who would be the top 3 guys that you would start with? I have 3 of my own, and I forced myself to do non-ex-football players, so that eliminates yourself, The Rock, Austin. The 3 guys I came up with are actually a lot of basketball players. Undertaker, big, tall, athletic. Paul White, the Big Show. Anybody who's 500 pounds who could do a kip-up blows my mind. And then actually Kofi Kingston. I looked him up, and he's 212 pounds. With that athleticism, he sticks out to me. But who would be your top 3 guys that you would pick?
Oh man, that's a tough question. I don't really know, man. I can't give you that, because the guys that I would pick are older guys, number one, and number two, they're guys who had football backgrounds. I mean, Ron Simmons would 100% be my number one pick in the draft. If I could pick anybody who ever wrestled and would play, would be a part of my football team, he would be the guy. There's no doubt about that. But I don't really know, man. I can't give you an educated guess on that one, because there's too many athletes up there. Now, whether mentally they can deal with it, that's a complete different question. But physically, there's so many guys up there that are gifted. I don't know. Sorry to
you actually kind of gave me an idea. What if we had a D-line consisting of Ron Simmons, Bill Goldberg, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? That would be one heck of a D-line right there. What are your thoughts on that?
One thing I can tell you is I'd be running towards me and Rock all day than running towards Ron Simmons. But yeah, I think that'd be a pretty formidable D-line. But yeah, Ron is just a freaking rock star, dude. His college career was just unparalleled. So huge fan of his. Hacksaw was a damn good football player too. So,
Okay. I did not know that. All right. Well, hey, man, I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining me. And whatever you end up doing next, good luck. And I will definitely be keeping an eye out for it.
You got it, brother. I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure, man. Miss you. And good luck, man. Keep it up.
Thanks, man. You too. All right. We'll head to commercial break, ladies and gents. See you in about 3 or 4, 5 minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Spring is here, and it's time to wake up Judson. Judson Irrigation is eager and ready to get your sprinkler system up and running for the season. Judson's technicians will check for winter damage, adjust your sprinkler heads, and show you how to set your controller for effective sprinkling coverage. The Judson Irrigation team is here for you. Stay safe.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here with Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it is Truck Month at Koppel, and we are pulling out all of the stops for this gigantic event. The lots are starting to fill, and we have some great deals for you waiting in Louisville. Brand new GMC Sierra Light Duty and new Silverado Light Duty trucks. All trim levels have up to $4,000 in discounts. That's right, up to $4,000 off all new light duty trucks right now at Koppel, so do not wait. Now is the time to buy a new truck, so stop on in or visit us online at KoppelCars.com. You must have a trade-in and finance with Koppel. All deals with approved credit.
Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for Ready Mix Concrete, Husker Concrete, and Beatrice Concrete. Nebco offers great pay, medical, and retirement benefits, paid time off, and we pay for CDL training. Apply today to earn an average total compensation of $50,000 to $60,000 your first year driving. From Nebco's beginnings in 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $24.11 per hour, which grows to $28.27 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $32.76 per hour with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or to apply, go to continental-jobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese Beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top shelf liquor to crowd favorite beer, Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
The Nebraska Lottery has given over $900 million back to our state since 1993. It's gone to improve our environment, education, and state fair.
Over $900 million? That's something.
I'll say.
Hey, I have a great idea for a commercial. Have someone count to 900 million out loud.
That would take 28 years. Not a good idea.
I don't know, with a little background music and some sound effects.
There's another studio down the hall. Why don't you get started?
The Nebraska Lottery, 30 years of building a better Nebraska.
The Nebraska Lottery has given over $900 million back to our state since 1993. The proceeds have helped protect and improve Nebraska's environment, funded need-based scholarships for Nebraska students, and maintained and improved facilities at the state fair.
That's terrific. You should put that on your website.
It already is. Just click on beneficiaries in the menu.
Menu? You guys serve food too?
Maybe you should get off your feet for a while.
The Nebraska Lottery, 30 years of building a better Nebraska.
The Butchery by Venue is Lincoln's premier specialty grocers. Take the quality of Venue home with you with our hand-cut steaks, handcrafted burgers, and locally sourced offerings. Browse our wide selection of specialty products designed to enhance your dining experiences with cheeses, spices, sauces, and more. We also have an exclusive collection of liquors, whiskeys, and bourbons at prices you're sure to love. Stop in to the Butchery by Venue today, located in our Venue at Home storefront at 70th and Pioneers, just 2 doors down from Venue Restaurant and Lounge.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
There's never been a better time to earn more on your checking account. Open a free Kasasa Cash checking account with Liberty First Credit Union and earn up to 5.5% APY for up to $40,000. It's simple. Open your Kasasa Cash checking account online or stop into any of the 4 Lincoln locations or Seward and Omaha branches. Liberty First makes switching easy, and Kasasa checking is always free. See libertyfirstcu.com for details. Federally insured by NCUA. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose.
You're listening to the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We got about 5 minutes left in this show, in this program. So, first of all, I got to give a shout out to Rico, the show's producer. So he's a big time Goldberg fan, and he just sent me a message. All right, he said, I hope I can share this. I'm doing it, so I assume it's okay. All right, Rico, you can mute my mic if you don't want me to share it. But anyways, here we go. Rico said, I still stand next to those sprinkler fireworks on the 4th of July and act like I'm coming out of the tunnel. Haha, just like Goldberg did. That is phenomenal. Just don't lose a finger or get set on fire, please. Other than that, that is phenomenally phenomenal, my man. All right, last segment here. We got the most talked about, the most important, the most highly publicized, the most scrutinized, the most talked about Husker practice of the entire year. It's called AKA the Spring Game this Saturday. So here's some of the things that I wrote down that I'm going to be watching for, that I'm going to be keeping my eye on, specifically, number one, live tackling. All right, we have not done this in a full spring game for 3 years, and it's something I'm looking forward to seeing this upcoming weekend. Have we made strides? Have we made improvements in live tackling? Now, the converse side to that is when you're playing yourself, if we're tackling everything inside, then we're going to hear, well, why can't we break any tackles? Why don't we squat more? Why don't we make better juke moves and run people over? We're not physical when we run with the ball. So it goes both ways. But I'm a defensive guy. Okay, I was a quarterback in high school, but since then I've gone to the dark side, AKA the good side. All right, and I want to see how well the defense tackles on Saturday. Next up, I mean, holy Moses Malone, the offensive line. Like, I want to see, can we protect our quarterbacks? And if you remember the spring game last year, we didn't block the wind. And I really don't know how anybody can block the wind, but you get my point. We didn't block anything. Okay. And I know we had a couple of tackles that were banged up. We had backups in the game, and our quarterbacks were running for their metaphorical lives, so to speak. Can we protect the quarterback? Unfortunately, that carried into the season a little bit more than Husker fans and myself included would have liked. Can we block one-on-one? Can we protect the quarterback? I don't know how much the defense is going to blitz. It's a spring game. Offenses and defenses tend to be pretty boring, pretty blasé. They don't want to show anything. They don't want to give anything away if they're doing too crazy. So typically it ends up being a lot of one-on-ones, which is something I'm actually going to come back to here in a second. But how's the offensive line going to perform? Because as we know, offense puts butts in the seats, defense wins games, but especially here at the University of Nebraska, trenches wins championships, which we hope to be competing for at some point in the relatively near future. Next up, I'm just curious about running back playing time. A lot of talented guys in that running back room. Now, Coach Rule has pointed out how Gabe Ervin was one of the stars of winter conditioning. He's 220, 225 pounds, one of the fastest guys on the team. So, Gabe Ervin, you got guys like Ramir Johnson, Anthony Grant, who had a short suspension at the beginning of spring ball. How do these guys look? And you look at Anthony Grant, he was our bell cow at the running back position a year ago. Is he going to start this year? How many carries is he going to get? Is the transfer portal something we need to be concerned about with him potentially? I don't know. I'm not starting anything. I haven't heard anything. It just seems to me that if a guy starts and all of a sudden isn't playing as much, could that be a problem? I sure hope not. And there's other guys in that running back room as well. Again, it's a loaded room. I just want to keep an eye on who's getting reps with what team, how do they look, and things of that nature. All right, here's where the one-on-ones come in. And maybe they'll come out in the 3-3-5 and blitz like crazy. Blitz like thunder from down under. I don't know. I don't expect that. That's how a 3-3-5 defense typically works. But in a spring game, maybe not. So you get a lot of one-on-ones. You get a lot of base coverages, a lot of simple plays on offense. And you see, can a DB cover a wide receiver one-on-one? Can a wide receiver beat a DB one-on-one? You come back to the offensive line versus the defensive line. Can you block a guy one-on-one? Defensively, can your defensive linemen, can your edge rushers, can they beat somebody without you having to blitz like crazy? Which you're going to blitz in the 3-3-5. It's part of the reason you do it. You can disguise, you can confuse, you can have guys running free because the offensive lineman and the quarterback gets confused on what the protection should be and things of that nature. But are you going to have to do that all the time? Or can you get pressure on the quarterback without having to come from every single angle and confusing everyone all the time? And can you protect your quarterback as well? Those are a lot of the things. It's really hard to gauge the spring game, if I'm being honest. You're running simple offenses, simple defenses, and you're not trying to show anything. You're trying to get certain guys reps, certain guys looks with certain teams that they may not get in the fall. You just want to see how things look. But the one thing that always stays the same is there's one-on-ones every play. Wide receivers, DBs, linebackers, running backs. Can a running back pick up a blitz when you do blitz? Okay. Can a tight end block? Is he just wanting to catch the ball all day? You get these simple one-on-one matchups in a spring game, and that's about, if I'm being honest, the biggest thing I always take out of spring games every year. Because one-on-one, it's you and it's him, and that's it. And who's gonna lay the wood and who's not going to? And the last thing I've got down on my list here, I did not talk about the 3-3-5. Now again, I don't know how crazy they're going to get with exotic blitzes and exotic looks and things of that nature. I'm just kind of curious to see who lines up where, who moves multiple positions. Do we blitz very much? How does it look? How do we adjust to certain offensive formations and what we're trying to run this year in this version of the 3-3-5? And they have mentioned that we may go 4 down linemen a decent amount as well come the fall, where you're not going to blitz a ton, probably, in a spring game. Are you going to end up with more 4 down linemen in an effort to get some sort of pressure on the offense in the spring game, so the quarterback isn't just sitting back there all day? And even though it doesn't matter because it's a glorified practice, nobody wants to look bad in the spring game, so they're going to go more 4 down linemen in an effort to get more pressure on the quarterback, where they're probably, who knows, maybe they'll blitz every freaking play and I'm out of my mind. But if they're not going to blitz a ton and every single play, I'm curious to see how often they go 4 down and who becomes an end in that situation. Okay. Who becomes an inside defensive lineman. Okay, so I'm just curious to see how all this is going to work together. I'm curious to see the one-on-ones. Obvious, I didn't even mention the quarterbacks, but I feel like it goes without saying. It's like when you see the little sticker that says "Don't touch the stove" or "Stove is hot." Like, duh. I feel like it goes without saying. Except you got to worry about getting sued. That's why the sticker is there. But I think it goes without saying we're always going to be watching the quarterback position. All right, I will see you fine folks next Monday. Adam Carriker here on the ticket from noon to 1. Come have lunch with me every Monday. And until then, go big, Red Nose. Remember, go the Birds.
This is